If you've been watching the Northern Virginia market lately, you might have a little bit of whiplash because one headline says homes are sitting for over a month and sellers are slashing their prices. And then the next headline says good homes are still selling in days with multiple offers. And y'all, they're both right because this is no longer one market, okay? We have multiple markets in this one market. So let's break this down, okay? Exactly why the Northern Virginia homes aren't selling and what's up with the ones that are, what do they have in common? So let's break this down. So the ones that are selling, they nail one thing really well. They nail pricing. The list to close price ratio across Northern Virginia right now is around 100%. It's the market, it is rewarding sellers who price right from day one. That is the key. Guys, this is not the non-negotiable one, okay? I promise. There's no way around this one. Overpricing the house, nothing else you do matters, okay? It's just the reality. By the time you cut the price, buyers are reading that reduction as a warning sign, right? They start wondering what's wrong with the house. Why did it sit? What did other buyers know that they don't? They think something is very fishy when they see higher days on market, even if the house is in great condition. So what do I mean by price the house right? What does that mean in today's market? Well, it means it's priced for where buyers are today, not where the market was 2 or 3 years ago. And that's sometimes a hard truth for folks, but it's the truth. Homes in the sweet spot of price and location, they still go under contract roughly in a week or two. The ones sitting 45, 65, 95 days are there because buyers have enough choices now that they skip anything that feels off on price. Rates are hovering in that 6% range, which keep a pretty tight cap on what buyers can afford each month. Now, a home priced like it's back in 2022 forces buyers to stretch past really what their lender or their own comfort level is. So they just wait for the next house. And while they're waiting, your days in the market just turn, all right? That neon warning sign for potential buyers, it just gets higher and higher. Now stick with me, okay? Because I'll talk about deferred maintenance later and show you another way sellers hand buyers another reason to skip their very awesome maybe listing, but that's coming soon. So let's move on to the next type of home that is sitting right now. The price, yes, is the foundation, but even a well-priced home can get tripped up by what buyers find when they look closer. That's why presentation matters. It matters more than it used to. I want you to imagine with me, 2 colonials in the same neighborhood listed at similar prices. One has shoes lined up at the door, right, all weekend of showings, while the other gets quiet showings and they eventually get a price cut. Y'all, the difference is always what you see when you walk in. When monthly payments are as high as they might be for buyers, they just simply have less cash left over after closing to tackle renovations. So they're paying a premium for homes that are, well, already done. And they're simply passing on the ones that aren't. Now that's a direct shift from the frenzy years, 100%. Back then you could sell that tree house in your backyard if it were the Versailles, palace, because buyers were just grateful to get anything that they could get. Now a tired and dated home, it just doesn't sell unless it's priced at a meaningful discount, because the buyer is mentally subtracting every project they'd have to take on. The cost, the hassle, the months of living through it just aren't worth it to them. So the discount that they expect, it's almost always bigger than what the seller had in mind. Now, what wins right now is an updated home that has fresh paint, neutral tones, has the fresh fixtures, simple kitchen and bath refreshing, okay? Ultimately, if the home can photograph really, really well. Now, I'm not talking crazy or expensive upgrades, just bright and clean and truly move-in ready. The home needs to look right. But there's a third piece that actually surprises sellers more than others because it has nothing to do with what's in the inside. But before that, whether you're thinking about selling and trying to figure out where you'd land, or you're buying, right? You're trying to think about what makes sense to you out in the market. That's exactly the kind of conversation we have with folks every day. So reach out. My info is in the description below. But now let's get back to the video. That third piece is the wow factor. Guys, the wow factor is what separates houses. Now, the expensive homes that are sitting on the market, for the most part, not all of them are, but enough that it's a real genuine problem. And the reason is simple, but it's surprising because buyers are skipping big homes because they don't want boring space. A large home on a couple of acres with no deck, no rear outdoor area, nothing that makes you stop when you walk out the back door, it can have all the square footage in the world and still feel flat, which doesn't sell right now. The homes that move have a wow factor. Things that used to barely move the needle, like hardscape, real landscaping, a usable patio, outdoor space that you can picture yourself on the Saturday evening. This now separates one listing from the next. Now, buyers, they're just simply paying for the feeling. I want to say that again. Buyers are paying for the feeling. They want a feeling of a home that gives them more than just size of the house. It's important to think of outdoor living as, yes, curb appeal, as features that they meaningfully pull buyers towards the home and away from similar ones down the street because they add the most feeling. And this shows up sharpest at the higher end of the market, where buyers are just simply less forgiving. They're comparing one home near the $1 million mark with another and simply gravitating towards the one that has that quality, even if the other one has more room. So the high-priced homes that skipped outdoor spaces and emotional features, they're racking up days on the market, and the seller often can't figure out why. And all that's to say that the wow factor used to be a bonus, but now it's a real separator. And once you understand why, the last two patterns here I'm going to talk about, they're going to just simply start to make sense. Because the next is deferred maintenance. Absolutely kills deals. When you walk into a home and the handrail wiggles, or there's a water stain on the ceiling, maybe it's been there for years, or the deck boards are soft, what's your first thought? Probably not, I wonder how much this costs a fix. No, it's what else haven't they taken care of? That's what they ask. It's exactly how smart buyers think right now. And with more homes to choose from, higher payments already stretching their budgets, they are quick to walk because why wouldn't they? The homes that sell handle this actually ahead of time, before the showings even start. The smart move right now is getting a pre-home inspection, a pre-listing inspection. This is where you get to find the problems before the buyer does. You get to fix them one at a time on your timing. And that way, when the inspector for the buyer walks through, there's nothing left to blow up the deal or at least hand them massive leverage to renegotiate with. This is the real change from the old days when you could just let buyers find the issues and sort it out in the contract. Now those problems either scare buyers off or give them a reason to ask for big credits right when you thought you had a clean slate. Now, the good news is that most deferred maintenance items, they aren't expensive. Fresh caulk, right? Replaced fixtures, replace the handrail, paint the trim, okay? Because it looks like evidence of some deferred maintenance from the past. These are all, yes, optional in life in one sense, but not optional when you're selling. Now, the last one is the part that stings sellers the most because it involves spending real money and not getting it back. Here's the reality. Sellers often put money in the wrong places. Now, I feel for sellers on this one because it's painful to watch. They do the right thing. They decide to invest before they list. They spend real money and they get almost none of it back, all because they spent it in the wrong places. Now, what do I mean by that? What does that look like? Something like kitchen cabinets that have a finish reflects the seller's taste and not the market's. Or maybe high-end tile that is a little bit too personal for the price point. Even bold, specific colors that just kind of stop buyers cold. And on the top of that, I see fixtures nicer than anything else in the home, clashing with the rest of it. All of the time I see this. This is cash poured into choices the next buyer is gonna walk on, right? Because they're gonna say, we need to change that. So if you're renovating to sell, you're not designing it for yourself. You have to let go of your personal projects. Let those become for the next house. You're designing right now for the next buyer that's coming through the house. So yes, neutral color palettes, simple cabinet style and quality, but definitely not over the top fixtures. Pick finishes that it's easy for more buyers to picture themselves living there. I know it's boring, but it works. I promise, because money spent in the wrong places can turn into a reason a buyer keeps scrolling. The homes sitting in Northern Virginia are sitting because sellers are playing by rules that stopped working. And the difference between the fast market and the slow one almost always comes down to choices the seller made before they ever listed. So if you are thinking about selling anywhere in Northern Virginia and you want an honest read on where your home lands, shoot me an email, info@shawnderrickrealestate.com today. No pressure, okay? No spamming, no follow-up calls for eternity. Now, if this video helps you make sense of what you're seeing out there, hit the subscribe button. Every month I put out honest, really hyper-local market content for this area, the kind of straight talk you just aren't gonna hear in the national headlines. Well, that's it for now. I hope you have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.